This map of Asia, printed in England in 1746, reveals the perception of the Indian subcontinent in that period. Approximately the area that we now recognize as the nation state of India is described here as India within the Ganges. The region east of the river Ganga, including Myanmar, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand and Vietnam, is called India beyond the Ganges. The Indonesian archipelago is called East Indies, reflecting the Indian influence on that area also. For over 2000 years, India within the Ganges has had a profound influence on India beyond the Ganges, if I am permitted to use that terminology just for this context. History is always written by conquerors. But even 60 years after India became a free democratic republic, our history books are chained by colonial colored glasses. Breaking away from this, we are launching on this pilgrimage. We retrace ancient voyages in this devotional sojourn, worshipping the gods and avatars of the Hindu pantheon in Indonesia, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia and Vietnam. Let us start this second leg of our journey with a brief visit to Kalimantan in southern Borneo. An inscription here reveals that Mulavarman established a Hindu kingdom here in the 4th century. And from southern Borneo, shall we fly across to central Java. The people of Java worship nature in all its forms, from the mountains and rivers to the volcanoes. This volcano Kawah Sikidang is in the geographic center of the Java island. Our pilgrimage takes us here because in the 8th century, the royalty of the area built a series of small temples here for the central characters of Mahabharata around the volcano Kawah Sikidang. Let us worship Draupadi in this shrine where she is called Dwaravati. Not far from her shrine in this Diang plateau, we visit the shrines not only for the 5 Pandava brothers but also for Gadodgaja, son of Bhima. These small Chandis, as temples are called in this area, closely resemble the Pandava Rathas of Mahabalipuram near Chennai. In our unusual pilgrimage, we sometimes see the temples separately and the idols removed from them separately. In this spirit, we visit the site museum of Diang Plateau and worship Trisara or three-faced Shiva. We also take the blessings of a serene Dakshinamurti in penance. Even as India exported Hinduism to Southeast Asia over 2 millennia ago, it also helped spread the spiritual message of the Buddha. When we descend from the Diang Plateau to the plains on the southern side and travel for a couple of hours by car, we climb a hillock to get a breathtaking view of one of the greatest spiritual monuments of the world. Built by the Sailendra kings of Java in the 9th century, Borobudur is massive by any standards. The multi-tiered pyramidal stupa was conceived by Gunadharma in his meditation. It is speculated that Gunadharma came from the Pallava country in South India. We are overwhelmed. Is this a stupendous conception of man or a divine manifestation? We start climbing at the level of Karma Vibhanga with sculptures of earthly matters. As we ascend, we learn from the encyclopedic stone narratives, the Jataka tales relating to the Buddha's earlier incarnations, and the life of Gautama Siddhartha, from his days in his ancestral palace to those of his enlightenment. As we climb up further, the simplicity and deliberate absence of ornamentation takes over, bringing tranquility to our thoughts. When we stand in the midst of bell-shaped latticed stupas with a Dhyani Buddha in each of them, we are unsure whether we are ascending in our path or whether divinity is descending on us. Well, we realize it is both. We are drenched in delight. Is this the first step towards ecstasy? And then there is the top central stupa which is vacant. Traversing from the various material and subtler forms, we have reached the formless, the absolute. Words are neither adequate nor necessary as we perceive the Buddha. In a period of spiritual fervor in Java, within 50 years of the creation of Borobudur, another major place of worship blossomed, the Prambanan temple for the Hindu trinity of Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. The Prambanan temple predates the most known historically important temples of India today, whether Thanjavur, Bhubaneswar, Khajuraho or Palitana, by over 100 years. It represents the art of temple building in India of an earlier era, whose original size and shape we are not aware of since they are lost. The Chandi for Shiva has several dancing Shivas and sculptural representations of the Karanas of Bharata's Natya Shastra, decorating it all around. In the sanctum sanctorum of the three towers of the temple, we worship Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Instead of a lingam, we worship Shiva as a bearded rishi. Some scholars believe it is Shiva in his incarnation as Agastya. What if Prambanan is not a temple under daily ritual worship? We feel the spirit of Rama in the ambience of Prambanan. Indonesian dancers periodically rehearse their Ramayana Ballet here. We are elated to witness the Ramayana Ballet performed every evening throughout the year by 200 Muslim artists with the Prambanan temple towers in the background. The monkey armies are rejoicing under Sugriva's leadership in one scene. The full-length ballet has a fabulous spectacle of Hanuman's antiques in Lanka Dahanam. Our devotional sojourn takes us to a group of temples in the vicinity of Prambanan. Among them is the majestic temple of Sevu for the Buddhist goddess Manjushri. We are welcomed here by a pair of gigantic Dwarapalakas. From Sevu, we have driven a short distance to the Pravosan twin temples for the Buddha. One of these is built by the Buddhist queen Pramodavardhini, while the other is built by her Hindu husband of the Sailendra dynasty, Samaratunga. Let us remember that even as Jesus Christ was born to a Jewish mother, the Buddha was born a Hindu to Hindu parents. When the Hindu husband and his royal Buddhist wife built this Pravosan temple, they have taken care to construct as many as 84 shrines around the two towers for various Hindu gods and goddesses as Parivara Devatas. Borobudur and Prambanan are in the outskirts of the city of Jog Jakarta. We drive for a few hours from Jog Jakarta to Surakarta, an important cultural center of Java. In the outskirts of Surakarta is Suko on a hilltop, a unique temple in many respects. The Suko temple is inexplicably modeled after the Inca temples of South America in its architecture. We get Garuda Darshan at the entrance to Suko. On another side, we worship an unusual Vinayaka in profile. As we reach an adjacent hill and climb, we reach the Chandi Chato, a temple for goddess Saraswati, where devotees throng on special occasions even today. Although Chandi Chato is also in central Java, we are introduced here to the temple architecture of East Java and Bali. Let us fly across to an ancient region of East Java, an area where a prosperous Hindu kingdom called Majapahit flourished for several centuries. The typical temple gateways here are called Gapura, reminding us of the Tamil word Gopuram for a temple entrance tower. Intricate terracotta sculptures adorn these red brick towers. These brick temples of medieval times took interesting and varied shapes in the Majapahit kingdom. We worship a whole series of Ganeshas in the local museum, and we fold our hands before a 12-foot high Mahavishnu mounted on Garuda. The museum at Mojokerto city has a few hundred idols which were once installed in these temples all over East Java. And then we walk into the ancient Shiva temple at Singasari before leaving Mojokerto. We drive for a few hours to reach Mount Bromo and witness the sun god rising here amidst the volcanic hills in all his majestic glory. There are two volcanoes here. The taller one with the black smoke at a distance is Sumeru, named after sacred Mount Meru. The shorter one, closer to us, with white smoke, is Bromo. Adjacent to volcano Bromo in the valley is a temple for Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, built by the Tengar people who claim to be descendants of the Majapahit royalty and who practice their own ethnic creed of Hinduism. This is among the spiritually elevating highlights of our pilgrimage. The name Bromo for this area and for the volcano behind me is derived from Brahma. The Tengar people here believe that Brahma created the whole universe from this very place on earth. The ancient kings of the Majapahit kingdom resided in their summer palace here. The kings and their gurus were seated in meditation in this sacred valley. We leave Bromo in East Java and follow the route of the pilgrims of the ancient Majapahit kingdom to the enchanting island of Bali. A tiny island, nevertheless with about 4,000 temples, Bali is a spiritually elevating experience. On the western seashore is the Uluwatu temple, perched on a peak. Among the oldest, largest and most popular places of pilgrimage in Bali is the Baisakhi temple near an extinct volcano. Remember, about 95% of the population of Bali are Hindus. Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma are worshipped in the Baisakhi temple, with devotees thronging the temple throughout the day. Since the Balinese Hindus do not follow idol worship, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara are represented by different color umbrellas in this temple. There are men and women priests here. We join the local devotees to receive holy water from the priests. While Baisakhi, at about 3,000 feet above sea level, is a public temple, most of the nearly 4,000 temples in Bali are family temples, which however attract devotees from nearby villages. A divine sight awaits us at the Tanalok temple. Are we worshipping the formless deity in this temple, the sanctity of the sea waves, the rocks and Mother Earth, or the beauty of a heavenly sunset. All of them indeed. At the smaller Sukhavati temple, we join a few thousand pilgrims in a festival and receive the blessings of Goddess Parvati. The spirit of pilgrimage, in a very ethnic, local, native sense, overwhelms us as we perceive a sense of joy which the Balinese radiate. Groups of about 100 people have darshan at a time, even as other groups wait patiently with their offerings. The Balinese maintain their age-old arts, making hundreds of sculptures of the Hindu pantheon. Ardent devotees of art from around the world take them home, sometimes as exotic pieces of Asian art, sometimes as souvenirs of Eastern craft, and often as icons of Hindu wisdom. Apart from stone, wood is the medium popular to portray scenes from the mythology, like this one of Jatayu trying to save Sita from Ravana. The same themes dominate the performing arts of Bali. The intensity of religious fervor in the ceremonial Kachak dance overwhelms us. Kachak is a ritual art unique to Bali, where a chorus of voices chant without orchestra for the dancer's depiction of scenes from the Ramayana. As part of Kachak, some dancers in a trance perform a fire dance. The priest blesses them with holy water and they regain consciousness. The time has come in the pilgrim's progress to fly back to Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Like everywhere else in Southeast Asia, a visit to the museum here, the National Museum of Jakarta, is an important leg of our pilgrimage. The museum is virtually an extraordinary treasure house of the history of Indonesia as a predominantly Hindu archipelago until just a few centuries ago. We pay our obeisance to a royal Raja Ganapati who once adorned a king's court, now in the main hall of the museum. We worship Parvati and Shiva, who have been brought here from their ancient temple in Dieng Plateau. We wonder at the exceptional beauty of one of the Saptamatrikas in the corridor. We move on to a bronze gallery to find an exquisite Shiva brought from central Java. Are we mesmerized by his gilded third eye? Still in that trance, we enter the restricted high security area to have a darshan of a 6-inch high solid gold Shivalingam from the Majapahit temples. As if to prove that the Javanese were equally devoted to Vishnu, we are ushered into the presence of a gold-plated Vishnu. From the high security area, we emerge into a public road to witness a huge Krishna and Arjuna in a crowded traffic island. We bow in reverence to the Islamic spirit of Indonesia for installing this largest contemporary bronze sculpture of a Hindu theme in the world so prominently in their capital. The third and concluding part of this pilgrimage will unravel to us the captivating Cambodian chronicle, including visits to the 1,000-year-old Angkor Wat, the world's largest stone temple of any faith.